I think the funny thing with epics is that you don't always know you're on one when it's happening, because a lot of times you have no choice but to just continue on. So often you're out of food, often a storm comes in, often you got a late start. These things happen quite a bit. So what turns it from an interesting story to an epic adventure, One time, pretty deep in like the northern Indian Himalaya, we we had, you get these grand ideas. And we had a grand idea that we would do this giant ski traverse and go over this big goddess peak. And we got a storm. We got the biggest storm ever. And first, when you're in a big storm, you're often in a tent. So we're out there, we're just sleeping, we're just out there, we're so far out there. And the storm's coming. You evaluate, are you in abbey terrain? What's above you? What could come down on you? We were in such a big storm. I've never seen avalanches like this again in my life. But the first bit would be when you're in a really big snowstorm, it'll get quiet in your tent, and you can start to kind of drift off to sleep. And you'll wake up and it'll sound quiet, and you get kind of relaxed, and then you're like, it's quiet, it's quiet, it's quiet, which usually means you're getting snowed into your tent, which means your tent could be getting covered, which means eventually it's gonna crush you and you're all gonna get asphyxiated, die, whatever. So there's a constant digging out process when you're in a very big snowstorm, and you sort of like this rotating, shifting of like, whose turn is it to dig the tent out, dig the tent out, dig the tent out. And then that like kind of magic dreamy state that happens when you fall asleep, you didn't dig the tent out, and it gets quiet. And so the same trip, we did that for really days. And eventually you realize you're not going to achieve your summit anymore. You're really just hoping you're going to get out of there in one piece. And so the epic journey becomes like, how can we retreat on this mission? And this particular mission, we finally got a little tiny bit of clearing, but it came with intensely warming, which then brings avalanches down. So we were having to sort of escape. We weren't, at that point, you're not even considering you're climbing, we're not considering skiing anything. So this sort of like epic escape path, except the snow is getting heavier and heavier and heavier, and there's no way to move any faster, and avalanches were coming down all around us. I'm making this broad generalization about one story because a lot of us have had many epics over the 10 years, 20 years that we've been doing big expeditions. You have to overcome, you have to dig really deep because you're not going to give up and not get home. People get really weird when they get hungry. So people start to fight over food. People start to hoard food. So people start to watch what other people are eating. So eventually there's usually a food crisis. So this trip, we're crossing huge avalanche paths, and we're also getting into food crisis. And the snow is getting so heavy we almost can't move. We're like stuck in cement while these avalanches, it seems like as big as this room. I've really never seen anything like it again. It's very dreamlike to me when I think about how thick those avalanches were coming around us, and we were having to cross these paths to get out. So sort of like rolling the dice and trying to move quickly, but unable to move quickly because we were down then in these valleys. And another funny thing with this journey is in the end we end up in this village where it's sort of deep India where everyone's untouchable, and we're considered untouchable, so no one will take us into their house, no one will touch us, no one will come near us. People are freaked out. And there's stories of this village. In the old days, they could stone you if you touched the temple, if you touched a rock in the town. So we're like epicking out of this big avalanche path mission, and we get into this town where they're going to stone you to death if you touch anything. And we're like strangers coming out of the night, because people don't go there deep in the winter. People might trek there in the summer, but we've come out of deep in the mountains, and it's winter, and it's a big storm, into this village of untouchables, which then we can't ask for food, we can't ask for shelter. People were like jumping off trail so as not to be near us once we got into the village. So then we were pretty sure we weren't going to get stoned to death, but the inability to ask anyone. And people are friendly, but no, we're untouchables there. So then just like the epic of getting out. But at the time, every day, every hour, you're like, can't give up, 15 more minutes, 10 more minutes. We're going to continue until we get our mission out. And that's why it's so important, I think, on big expeditions, to choose partners you feel good about, and be really like precise as to who you want to go out in the mountains with, because your lives depend on each other, and your stability, and also your mate's ability not to freak out when the chance that you're going to die is as big as the chance that you're going to survive. So you need to have everyone be like calm and cool and forward thinking. And at the end, you're like, oh, we got out of there. Remember that giant storm? It was crazy. But honestly, you survive through it, and then you kind of laugh about it after. It's uneasy, but you don't even really recognize it for as epic as it was. Also because we're accustomed to being in these crazy situations at times, and we just draw upon our skill set and then hope for the best. And probably it's like the hands of God that we've all survived, because we're not that good, and we put ourselves in these situations with some frequency.
For free films and exclusive invites, join our email list at filmfestivalflix.com/email, and follow us on social media with Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. In your home or on the go, we bring the festival to you.